first of all, I like walk in and it's like, oh, like all these girls like kind of my age that kind of look like me, and I'm like, okay, this is the weirdest interview I've ever had. And they had a line of chairs, like 6 chairs, and we just sat there for like 30 minutes while people walked by, and we're like, okay, are people just checking us out? What's going on? And then finally, they brought in the actress, and it was Evan Rachel Wood, and they just brought us up one by one and got our picture taken with her. And that was pretty much it. The DP, the director of photography, like looked at us, and I think, and like just probably picked which one looked the most like the actress. And I thought for sure, I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't like look anything like her, because she had black hair and really pale skin, and I wasn't expecting to hear back, and I did. So.
Like I was saying, they threw me around back and forth. Like they wanted me to stand in first, then one of the conspirators, and then a stand-in again. But when they called me back for the stand-in, they had already picked someone for James McAvoy's stand-in. And from what I heard, he already went through camera tests, costume tests, makeup tests. And so I was really confused, because I knew the kid, and I was really confused as to why they were calling me to be a stand-in for James McAvoy when that position was already filled. And the guy who they chose was actually in that lineup. You know, there was 4 other guys, just like there were 4 other girls, and they lined me up too, and he was a part of that lineup. And I was just like, this is a little awkward. Do they like want to replace him? And then 2 days later, I got the call, and it was really awkward.
It was awkward.
Because I saw that guy the next day, and I was just like, I hope you don't think I stole your job.
Right.
Chaos, but like, it was a controlled, chaotic mess. But it wasn't even really a mess. There was just so many people there. It was like excitement was in the air. But like right when we got off, they shuttled us to set. Right when we got off, bam, they threw us in. And like at that point, we had no idea what we were doing. Like they didn't really brief us at all. We arrived at base camp. They put us in costume, and then it was like go, 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 go. And I'm standing there like, what am I supposed to be doing? Because at that point, I had never been a stand-in before. And I just stood there for an hour, and like, you know, there were lights being set up all around you. You know, there's just so many people running around, but they all had a job, and they all knew what they were doing, and it all worked.
For me, I was just trying to soak up every bit of it like a sponge, because I only thought I was going to do it for a couple days. So they threw me in the, I mean, it really, like he said, it was literally like bam, bam, bam. I showed up, they threw me in a costume. I'm in this like period costume hoop dress, you know, crazy outfit, and that was really fun to wear. And you know,
it also felt like a time warp, because, you know, the street in which they filmed on is a street that I'm very familiar with, and you look in front of you, you see this house that had been completely transformed. You see every street sign was taken down and replaced with like kerosene lamps. The tar-covered street was covered in dirt and mulch. You see horse carriages, women dressed in, you know, 19th century costumes, and then you look to your left, you look to your right, you look behind you, and there's equipment and people everywhere, and it's like a time warp. You look in front of you, you're in 1865, you look behind you, you're in like 2009.
I will say that was the hardest thing at first for me, is that I'm so used to being behind the camera, and I'm a professional photographer, so I'm not usually comfortable in front of the camera. And that's what my job was. And it didn't feel like a job, because I was just standing there. You know, I've been working so hard every day at the paper, and all of a sudden I'm just like standing around all day, and I'm like, this. I didn't feel like it was a job, more of an experience for me. And that was the hardest part at first for me, because I'm not used to wanting or getting attention and everyone looking at me. And literally, the job of a stand-in is to, you know, watch the actors act out the scene, and then they go to their trailers, and we step in and we take their place. So I would stand wherever Robin Wright stood and take her place and basically sit there or stand there or lie there while
For 45 minutes.
While all the like 50 people are like looking at you like this and like doing the light meter and changing the lights and moving the camera, and you just stay there and like have all these people stare at you and look at you through the camera and all that. So at first it was completely bizarre because I'm the one who's used to being behind the camera,
Total
looking at other people, and I have a much higher appreciation for sure. I had no idea how many people it took to make everything happen. I had no idea that when you're watching a scene in the movie, like say this was a scene, there'd be like 50 people right here watching and making sure everything's right. Everything from like a makeup person watching your makeup to a hair person watching your hair to a lighting person making sure the light's right and the director making sure it's all okay. And I mean, even like a little intimate moment on screen, you wouldn't think there's just like a whole slew of people right behind them watching. Yeah, it's kind of, I'm definitely going to view movies in a whole different way now.
I mean, everyone gets starstruck. And you know, for me it wasn't necessarily James. Evan Rachel Wood plays, who Hunter was also a double stand-in for. She plays Robin Wright's daughter, Anna, and for me, that working in a film with Evan Rachel Wood meant more to me than working on a film with Robert Redford. To me, she's the legend. I've grown up watching her films. She's a child actor. We're the same age, so I've been following her career for years. And yesterday, I actually got to meet her and interact with her for the first time, and I just went up to her and I was like, you know, artist to artist, you know, the work that you do really inspires the work that I do, and I just want to thank you for your artistry. And to me, like, it's just so odd because it's like you see them every day, 15 hours a day for 45 days, and they start to become real people. You don't see them in the same light as you saw them before you met them. Like, you get to know them as real people. So, you know, it was weird because sometimes, you know, I got a little shy around James just because, you know, he is such a well-known and respected actor. But like I said, the more you get to know them, the more real they get, and the more easier it is to talk to them. Yeah, because, you know, he's Robert Redford. He's a legend. Everyone in the world knows who he is. And then they call him Bob. It makes you realize, oh my God, am I on like a personal level with this man? Do I know him well enough where I can speak to him so casually, like, hey, Bob, how you doing? It's Bob.
Well, there was a rap party on Saturday, and I, you know, went up to him and said hello, and I said Mr. Redford, and he said, oh, please don't call me Mr. Redford, that makes me feel old, I'm Bob. And so I've called him Bob ever since, and I wrote him a little thank you letter, and I was like, dear Bob. You know, it's really cute, but he's a really, really nice person.
At the rap party, when I went up to introduce myself, Bob was like, I'm like, hi, I don't know if you really know who I am. He's like, I know who you are, you're Chase. And it was just like really nice that even though we didn't have, I mean, there was a few times when he directed me personally. There was, the opening scene of the movie takes place at the Battle of Gettysburg, and I'm down in a trench standing in for James, and he comes down and lays shoulder to shoulder right next to me in the trench, and he's like directing me, telling me what to do. But even with the number of times that he directed me, I didn't really expect him to know my name. He was like, at the rap party, he was like, yeah, you're Chase. He's like, I saw what you did in your little extra spot. Your acting was really good. So it's nice to be able to say to people, it's like, yeah, I've had Robert Redford compliment my acting.